Hello viewers, this is Too Fast here. If you watched my previous video on installing a subwoofer and amplifier in my Nissan Pathfinder, then you would have seen how I ran the power cable, ground wire, and remote wire to the amplifier. I also showed you how I built the subwoofer box. Now in this video I want to go over the system that I installed and answer some questions you might have, and also show you some things I did not cover in the first two videos. So let's get started. So let's start with the engine compartment. Right here is the car battery. Over here is a positive terminal. I'm going to remove this cover right here. There's a power wire that I ran. Now this wire is 8 gauge and it's good for about 40 amps for the length of cable that I have. Now if you have a bigger amplifier that needs more current, you might need to run 4 gauge or 0 gauge. Now if you want to find out what gauge of wire you need for your amplifier, there are wire gauge tables you can find on the internet, and I'll show you one right here. So depending on how much current your amplifier draws, you also need to know how long the cable run is. With any wire over a long distance, there is resistance, and you want to make sure the current you get at the end of that wire is enough for the amplifier. And from here, it goes to this fuse holder. Now the reason you want to have a fuse holder close to the battery is because at any point, if you have any short circuits, it'll blow the fuse and not damage the car battery. And from the fuse holder, it goes out to a hole that I drilled on the back of the firewall. Now in the first video I talked about why I had to drill a hole in the firewall, because on this Nissan Pathfinder there are no additional grommets you can use to pass the wire. So the only option I have is to drill my own hole, which is about 3 to 4 inches to the left of the brake booster. And it is a lot of work to drill the hole through this firewall in this vehicle, because the firewall is made of 2 sheet metals with sound deadening material in the middle, and there's carpeting on the inside and outside of the vehicle. Typically with most firewall you only have to drill through 1 sheet metal, but on this vehicle you do have to drill through several layers of insulation. So with the power wire ran into the vehicle, it goes in and goes over towards a pillar. Now after you run the power wire, that's all you have to do in the engine compartment. So let's go inside the vehicle. So let's look inside the vehicle, and right here is a hole that I drilled through the firewall, and you see a power wire, the red cable, coming in and goes over to the kick panel on the driver's side. And when you're running this wire, make sure you keep it away from any moving parts. From here, it goes down on the kick panel right here, along the side step, and I ran this cable all the way to the back. Now with the second row, I did remove this panel right here, and I routed the cable underneath here, behind it, and up underneath the third row seat. Now I'm in the back of the vehicle, and you'll notice the subwoofer box has been moved from this position right here to sideways to where you see it right now. The reason I did that is so I can have extra storage space at the back right here. And also if I have to open up this lid, it gives me more room instead of hitting the front of the box. And here's a look at the compartment at the back. Now the last time you saw this in a video, this was all empty and nice and clean. I actually do use this compartment to store stuff, so that's why I have some of my stuff that I put in here. And on the left side is the amplifier. All the panels and dividers are removable, so I can remove this and also lift up this panel if I want to. For quick easy access, I can make adjustments to the amplifier. So let me go ahead and remove this panel. Now in the second video I did mention I installed LED strip around the edge right here, but I didn't really give you more details of it. It's basically 12 volt LED strips with 50/50 LED chips, and I have blue LED strip along this edge right here, and I also installed white LED strip behind here and also behind this grill right here. So let me turn this around so you can see. And here's what it looks like from behind. And these 3 LED strips are wired in parallel, and it goes out to this wiring harness that you see right here. So I can disconnect it very easily, and in total this draws about 1.5 amps. All the wiring from the amplifier and the LED strip goes behind this door right here. And the reason it has this little door is because this Nissan Pathfinder used to have a Bose subwoofer in this space right here, and the original speaker wire used to pass through this access door right here. Now in the first video I showed you how I removed the third row seat to get access to the Bose amplifier where I got the remote turn on wire. While the seat was lifted up, I took the opportunity and ran the power wire underneath along the side and out to this access hole. That's how I got this power wire all the way to the amplifier. Now with the black ground wire, it's actually connected to a grounding bolt right above in this position behind the panel. And I was lucky because I didn't have to drill any additional holes or sand down any painted surface to get a good ground. And it was short enough that's perfect for this amplifier. Now if you're installing your own amplifier, you want to make sure you run a short ground wire from the amplifier to the chassis ground. The reason for that is because you do not want to have any ground loop. When you run a long ground wire, it has a potential to develop a ground loop where you can get all kind of noise into your sound system. So keep that ground wire as short as possible, and also make sure the gauge of the ground wire matches that of the power wire. It's nice to have this access door because if I need to service anything, there's plenty of space right behind here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this cover back on. Now right over here is a magnetic reed switch that I installed for turning on and off the LED accent light that you see right here. And the way it does that is there's a magnet mounted on the lid right here. When I close this lid, the magnet will come close to this reed switch and will automatically turn off the relay that provides power to the LED strip. Now as I mentioned in the second video, this amplifier is an older amp, but it works fine. There are no problems with it. I didn't want to waste money buying a brand new amp, so that's why I reused it. This is actually a 4-channel amplifier that I bridged to 2-channel, and I'm only using 1 channel right now. So I do have the option to connect another subwoofer to it if I want to, and run 2-channel off this amplifier. Looking on this side, this is the high level input from the Bose amplifier, and this is what provides the audio signal to the amplifier. Now with any amplifier, you do have to adjust the crossover and also the gain, and you want to make sure you set those properly so you don't damage your speaker system. Now while I'm here, you'll notice I have the power wire, remote wire, and the ground wire, and also the speaker output and the high level input. With these wires ran into this space, in the future if I ever want to change the amplifier, it's very simple because I will reuse all the wires you see right here. I don't have to run new wires. That's why you want to spend the time to make sure all the wires are organized. Here's a look at the subwoofer box I built for the Kicker 10-inch sub. There's the front of the box. And there's the back. It is ported. Here's a port. Here's a terminal for connecting the speaker wire. Now you'll notice with this design, it's very easy for me to remove the entire box if I have to. So whenever I need additional space, or maybe somebody's sitting here, I need to fit some luggage here, I can easily, within a minute, remove this entire box. Now one of the viewers did ask if the box slide around in the back here, and after I installed this, the box did move around a little bit. So what I did was I installed rubber feet at the bottom right here. I'll put the camera at the bottom here. You'll see there are 4 big rubber feet at the bottom right here. And that kept the box from moving around, but I did one more thing to prevent this side from sliding out. So right here you see I made a bracket, and this bracket has a hole drilled to fit exactly underneath the rubber feet, and this angle here will keep the box from moving this way. And all this is removable if I want to remove it. And with the setup I have here, this box doesn't move. And while I'm back here, I'll show you the speaker terminal. You can easily remove these 2 wires and then put aside and then remove this entire box. Now just like the amplifier, with all the wires I've installed, I can easily swap out the subwoofer box and upgrade if I want to in the future. Now with the amplifier, as I mentioned, I can run 2 subwoofers. So later if I want, I can make a new subwoofer box that will have 2 10s or 2 12 and put it in the back area right here. Actually, I do have a couple of old subwoofer boxes I built many years ago. This one here is a rectangular box I built with a port on the side, and instead of having a round port, I made a rectangular port that's also tuned to about 3940 Hz. Now one thing I did mention in the second video is when you build a subwoofer box, make sure you build it to the spec that's required for the subwoofer. What I mean is every subwoofer manufacturer will give you a data sheet showing you what is a minimum and maximum volume of the box that you need, and if you're going to build a vented box or ported box, you want to make sure the port is the right dimension. If you don't follow the spec and you just build any box you want, the subwoofer is going to sound like garbage. So make sure you read the manual that comes with the subwoofer and do all the proper calculation when you're building the box. So lastly, I want to talk about the most obvious question, and that is why go through all the trouble of doing this? And the main reason is when you have a subwoofer with a large cone size, is able to push a lot more air inside the vehicle. And that will result in a much better bass response. And the way I like to describe it to people about having a sound system like this is the bass is felt and not just heard. Here's a side-by-side look of the subwoofer box I built and the original factory Bose subwoofer. As you can see, the Bose subwoofer is very small and it's just not able to push as much air compared to this subwoofer box I built. So the overall sound experience you have in the vehicle is a lot better and you really enjoy the music you're listening to. Well, I hope I was able to answer any questions you had on the installation of the amplifier and subwoofer in this vehicle. If there are some things that I did not cover, go ahead and leave a comment below. And if you're interested in installing a system like this in your vehicle, I hope this series of videos is helpful for you and you have a better understanding of what's involved. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. To support this channel, remember to click on thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified of new videos.